Samanta cakkavalesu atra gaccantu devata saddhammang munirajassa sunantu saggha mokkadhang Dhamma savana kalo ayang badangta Dhamma savana kalo ayang badangta Dhamma savana kalo ayang badangta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Utthānavato satimato sucikamassa nisammakārino saññatassa ca dhamma jīvino appamattassa yaso bhivaddati. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, and the Supremely Enlightened One. Good evening, all my Dhamma friends. Today, on this wonderful occasion and on this beautiful day, I am coming to you to share some of the teachings of the Buddha. We all know that Navam Pulpun Poya Day marks some of the important incidents that took place in the history of Buddhist dispensation. Because of these incidents, Buddhists in Sri Lanka, in all over the world, celebrate this Poya Day doing different kinds of meritorious deeds. In this evening also, you all have gathered to listen to this Dhamma sermon that can generate merits for you. Therefore, I would like to tell you, please join with me to share this merit with wise attention and situational awareness, so that we can develop our right view, right understanding. At the same time, we can develop the knowledge of Dhamma. We all know that this Navam Full Moon Poya Day marks some of the important incidents that took place in the history of Sasana. First, the first ever Buddhist congregation of monks took place on a day like this. Second, the appointments of Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana as the chief disciples of Gautama Buddha as Agra Sravakas. At the same time, Buddha proclaimed for the first time the fundamental ethical precepts for Buddhist monks. And also, Buddha announced that within 3 months, his parinibbana would take place. Some of these important incidents took place on a day like this. So, Poya Day is very special for all the Buddhists in the world, because Poya Day enables us to engage in different kinds of meritorious deeds. So today, let us learn this Dhamma, let us contemplate on this Dhamma, and let us improve our knowledge and practice in the Dhamma. So today I would like to share with you all one of the great teachings that Buddha has taught us. This teaching can help us in many ways. So before starting my Dhamma talk, let me remind you of the final words of the Buddha. In the Parinibbana Sutta, Buddha says to all of us, all the conditional things are impermanent. Strive hard, work hard, and try to attain the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. So, when we look at the teachings of the Buddha, this teaching always helps us to develop our understanding. One of the beautiful things I see in this Dhamma is that this gives us the freedom of the mind, which we all actually aspire to. So today, let us share, let us discuss about the teachings of the Buddha, and let's try to determine, let's try to develop the wholesome qualities in the mind. When we look at the teachings of the Buddha, the Noble Eightfold Path is one of the core teachings of the Buddha. This path has taught us, has shown the way forward. This is the way of living as a human being. So this path consists of 8 steps, which we have to develop step by step. So on the top you find right view, right understanding, without which we can't lead this life forward. So right understanding is very important for everyone as a follower of the teachings of the Buddha. Because without right understanding, right view of the teachings of the Buddha, of the life that we have, we can't lead a successful life. Therefore, when we listen to the teachings of the Buddha also, we have to have certain understanding of this right view. At the same time, we have to have the situational awareness. Now at the moment, I am preaching Dhamma. I am sharing it with you, and you all are watching it, listening to it. So you have to have that situational awareness. At the same time, you have to have the effort. Effort for what? Actually, when we listen to the Dhamma, we listen to the words of the Buddha. Now, the words of the Buddha recommend 2 things for us. That is, abandon the unskillful and develop the wholesome. So we need effort to abandon what is unwholesome, and we need effort to develop what is skillful. Therefore, my dear Dhamma friends, when you listen to the Dhamma, have the right understanding first. Then have the situational awareness. Be aware of yourself, of your posture and everything. At the same time, have effort in the mind to reject what is bad, to develop what is good. So with that, let me start this Dhamma talk, Dhamma sermon. So in the last words of the Buddha, we find that Buddha says all the conditional things are impermanent, strive hard and try to find the final bliss, try to attain the Nibbana. So this is my topic today. Strive hard and try to find the peace of the mind. So my dear Dhamma friends, today I would like to share some knowledge with you about the sixth step of the Noble Eightfold Path. The sixth step of the Noble Eightfold Path is right effort, which includes in the Samadhi section, concentration. So let us discuss this and let us improve our Dhamma knowledge by discussing this factor. So Buddha explains what this right effort means. Buddha says there is a case where a disciple generates desire and endeavors and upholds, exerts his intent for the sake of non-arising of the evil, unskillful qualities that have not yet been there in your mind. So this is something complicated, but still we can simplify this and understand. So Buddha says the person who follows the Dhamma, the person who understands the Dhamma, generates desire, endeavors and activate, the person activates persistent effort, upholds and exerts his intent, his thought for the sake of the non-arising of evil, unwholesome, unskillful qualities that have not yet arisen in that particular person's mind. So this is Sammavayama. And again Buddha says the particular person generates desire, activate persistent effort and upholds and exerts intent for the sake of letting go, giving up the evil, unwholesome qualities that have already arisen in that person's mind. And again Buddha says he generates desire and endeavors and upholds and exerts his intent for the sake of developing wholesome, beneficial qualities that have not yet arisen in that particular person's mind. And again Buddha says this particular person generates desire, endeavors and activates persistence, upholds and exerts the intent for the sake of maintenance and development and culmination of good, wholesome, beneficial thoughts that have already arisen in that particular person's mind. So this is actually right effort according to the teachings of the Buddha. Now when we look at this teaching, there are two main things that we have to understand properly. That is abandoning of the unskillful evil thoughts which are in our mind And the second thing, developing wholesome, beneficial, meritorious thoughts in our mind. So these are the two things that we have to understand and develop. So let's try to understand this little by little. So in the teachings of the Buddha says, now if this abandoning of what is unskillful, what is evil, were difficult or were impossible, Buddha says, I would not tell to you to do this. Buddha says this abandoning of unskillful, demeritorious thoughts in the mind is possible, and that is why I am telling you all to do this. And Buddha again says, if this abandoning of evil thoughts, unskillful thoughts in the mind were conducive to harm and pain, I would never say to you to do it. Because this abandoning of unskillful evil thoughts in the mind actually is conducive to benefit, conducive to happiness in the mind. That's why I am telling you all to do this. So Buddha says, abandoning of unskillful evil thoughts is very much possible. So he emphasizes that. Again Buddha says, developing of skillful thoughts, wholesome thoughts in the mind is possible, and that is why I am telling you all to do this. Buddha says, if this development of wholesome, meritorious qualities in the mind were impossible to do, I would never tell you to do it. And again Buddha says, if developing all these qualities in the mind were conducive to pain and suffering and grief, I would never tell you to do this. Buddha says, developing wholesome qualities, developing meritorious qualities in the mind is conducive to happiness, is conducive to our peace in the mind. So therefore Buddha says, abandoning unwholesome qualities is possible, and please do it. And developing wholesome qualities, developing meritorious qualities is again possible. Therefore do it. And giving up or abandoning of unwholesome qualities, evil thoughts in the mind, can make you a better person. Sinner also has a future. So if you give up your bad side, your wicked side, you automatically become a good person. Therefore Buddha says, in the sixth step of the Noble Eightfold Path, we have this practice, that is right effort. So let's try to understand one by one what actually this means. So in the first one, Buddha says, the person generates desire and activates his or her persistent effort and upholds and exerts his intent for the sake of none arising of evil, wicked, unwholesome qualities in his mind which have not yet arisen. Now let's try to put this into our day-to-day life. Let's say, now let me ask this question. Are there bad things that you have not done so far? Your answer would be yes. So Buddha says, don't let your mind think of them. Don't let your words, don't let your mouth speak of them. And don't let your body, don't let your deeds do them. So this is what the first step is all about. Control yourself. Controlling your senses can help you be a better person. So in the first step, Buddha says, so there are bad things in the world, there are bad things that you can do, there are bad thoughts that you can develop in your mind, and there are bad words that you can speak to someone. So don't do, or don't let your mind, don't let your words or mouth, don't let your body or deeds do them, or speak them, or think of them. So control yourself. That is the first thing. For example, if you are a liar, of course, being a liar is bad. Now, a liar can do some other bad things as well. A liar can use divisive speech to separate good friends. Lying is bad. At the same time, using divisive speeches, using divisive words is again bad. So we have to think of this. So Buddha says, try to understand this and don't attend to that. Control yourself. Control your senses. It's like this. You have never done a bad thing. And Buddha says, safeguard yourself. That's what Buddha says. Let's move to the second thing. What is the second step? Buddha says, the person who follows the teachings of the Buddha generates desire and endeavors, activates his persistent effort, exhorts, and upholds his intent for the sake of removing or giving up the bad thoughts, evil, wicked, unskillful thoughts that are already arisen in that particular person's mind. So if we put this into our life, we have bad things that have already been developed in our life. For example, let me take the same example. Sometimes we lie. Sometimes we have jealousy. Sometimes we are envious. We have so many defilements in the mind. So Buddha says, if there is anything bad in our life, try to remove it, because that leads to happiness, that leads to peace in the mind. So therefore Buddha says, the second step in the sixth factor of the Noble Eightfold Path is removing, if not letting go, giving up the bad, wicked, unwholesome thoughts that we have already developed in our mind. So we have to apply this into our day-to-day life. Then only we can practice Dhamma properly, because coming to temple or listening to Dhamma on Poya day, doesn't make any sense if you don't practice that in your day-to-day life. So you listen to this Dhamma, you watch this Dhamma sermon, and you understand this, and then you put this into practice. That is where you can have the harvest. If not, this again becomes another mere Dhamma talk for you, Dhamma sermon for you. So understand it, try to put it into practice. So the second thing what Buddha explains in relation to the right effort is abandoning if not giving up, removing bad things, bad thoughts, wicked things in our life. Let's move to the other factor. What is the third one? Buddha says the disciple, the person, generates desire and endeavors, exhorts, upholds, and develops intent for the sake of development, for the sake of cultivation. Cultivation of what? Development of what? Development of good thoughts. Cultivation of good thoughts, wholesome thoughts. Now if we try to understand this in our life, now let me ask this question again from you. Aren't there good things, aren't there meritorious things that we have not done so far in our life, that we have not attained to so far in our life? Your answer, of course, would be yes, there are many things that I have not done, good things. So Buddha says, do those good things, attend to those good things that can give you happiness and peace in the mind. For example, if you are not kind, if you are unkind, develop kindness. If you are hatred, if you are angry, if you live with jealousy, envy, covetousness, please try to remove them, as I explained to you in the second factor. According to the third factor, it says develop wholesome things, patience, courage, understanding, determination, peace in the mind, sharing, caring. These are good thoughts that we all can develop in our mind. So Buddha says, the person who follows the teachings of me, the person who lives according to the Dhamma, develops wholesome, meritorious, skillful thoughts in his mind. That is the third step in relation to right effort. And when it comes to the fourth step, Buddha says the disciple, the person who lives according to the Dhamma, endeavors, generates his desire and upholds and exerts his intent for the sake of maintenance and further cultivation and further development of the good thoughts that have already arisen in that particular person's mind. So this is again very simple, because if you are a good person, what you have to do, you have to continue to be so. If you are a generous person, if you are a patient person, if you are a kind person, if you are compassionate, if you are caring, sharing, and if you are a lovely person, a lovable person, try to continue with it, because that continuance is important, because good things should be perfected. Wholesome qualities should be perfected. Then only we can have the perfect wisdom in our mind. So according to the teachings of the Buddha, these 4 steps in relation to the 6th step of the Noble Eightfold Path is highly emphasized, is recommended for all of us to follow and to develop. So to understand this, let me share a beautiful story from one of the suttas in the teachings of the Buddha, one of the discourses in the teachings of the Buddha. So there's a particular sutta, and in that sutta there is a monk. His name is Sona. Now this Sona is a musician. This musician becomes a monk, enters the order, and he wants to attain the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, like all the other monks who join the dispensation of the Buddha. Now this former musician, let's say the singer, generates desire and activates his persistent effort and try to meditate and attain Nibbana. So every day this Venerable Sona practices the walk-in meditation. Sometimes Venerable Sona practices walk-in meditation for hours, for days, without stopping. So one day Venerable Sona, after practicing walk-in meditation for hours, sat on a particular place. When he sat, he saw that the sole of his legs was split and bleeding. And this train of thought came to his mind. I entered this order with pure intention to become an arahant, and I have been practicing this meditation to become an arahant, to have the insight wisdom, panya. But still I have not been able to achieve it. And he thinks this dispensation, this order of monks, may be not meant for me. And I think it is high time for me to leave this dispensation, this order. Then he thinks of this, and Buddha got to know about this. And Buddha came to this Venerable Sona, and after Buddha came to this Venerable Sona paid his homage to the Buddha, worshipped, and sat on one side. Then Buddha started questioning Venerable Sona. Now Buddha knew his intentions. So Buddha asked, what do you think, Venerable Sona? You were a householder and you were a musician. You were good at playing fiddle, and when your fiddle is, the string of your fiddle is too tight, is it in tune and playable? Venerable Sona knows the subject because he is a musician. Now one thing that we have to think here, we have to be happy that Buddha uses his own knowledge to explain Venerable Sona. Now Sona knows about music because he was a musician. He knows about musical instruments. Venerable Sona replies, no, Venerable Sir, when the strings of my fiddle is too tight, too taut, it is not in tune and it is not playable. And again Buddha asks Venerable Sona, what happens when the strings of your fiddle are too loose? Is it in tune and is it playable? Venerable Sona replies, no, Venerable Sir, when strings of my fiddle is too loose, it's not in tune and it is not playable. And again Buddha questions, what happens, Venerable Sona, when the strings of your fiddle are not too tight and too loose. Is it in tune and is it playable? Venerable Soul replies, yes, Venerable Sir, when the strings of my fiddle are not too tight and too loose, it is playable, it is in tune. Like that, Venerable Soul, you have to find your pitch. You have to find your pitch and attune it and try to find your theme. And having said that, Buddha left. Before leaving, Buddha said, if you are over aroused in your effort, that leads to restlessness. And if you are less aroused in your effort, that leads to laziness. So having said this, having advised Venerable Sona, Buddha left. After Buddha left, Venerable Sona started thinking, what Buddha said was exactly correct. Over-aroused effort can lead to restlessness, and less aroused effort can lead to laziness. So I have to find the pitch where I can tune well and I can find my theme. So with this intention, Venerable Sona started his meditation, and not so long he understood the teachings of the Buddha. He understood the middle way and he practiced it, and he became one of the Arahants. At the end, in seclusion, he says, in meditation posture, he says, birth is ended, the holy life is fulfilled, and task is done, achieved. He became one of the Arahants. So this story tells us a very important lesson. That is, if you are energetic, if you are skillful, that is very important, but you should not be over energetic or less energetic. As the teachings of the Buddha recommends us to follow the middle path, when we develop our effort also, when we develop our persistent effort also, we have to be moderate. We have to follow that moderate path which was taught by the Buddha. Therefore, my dear Dhamma friends, when we lead this life, as Buddha has always mentioned, as Buddha has always recommended, taught, effort is very important. Effort in the right volume is very important, because without effort, it is very difficult to succeed in our life. So let me share you some important concept in the modern organizational management. So when you learn this organizational management, there is a concept called SWOT analysis. Now in this SWOT analysis, 4 things are explained. They are strengths, weaknesses. First thing is strength, second weaknesses, third thing SWOT, O refers to opportunities, and the last one T refers to threats. So when you are in an institute, organization, you have to be aware of these factors. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And what are my opportunities? And what are my threats? So this is something similar to what Buddha has said, because not letting your mind develop unwholesome, evil, wicked things in the mind requires your control. To have strengths in our life, in your life, we need our control. Without control, we can't have our strengths. So control is very important. At the same time, we have to understand, we have to be aware of our weaknesses. So we have to let our weaknesses go, because we can't keep them. We can't keep our weaknesses and move forward and succeed in our life. So we have to give them up. At the same time, there are many opportunities for us. For that, we have to develop certain qualities. Knowledge alone is not enough. We need certain qualities in our life. Patience is one of the qualities. Compassion, sharing, caring, these are qualities that we as persons have to develop, as humans should develop. Therefore, if you develop these qualities, you have many opportunities in your life, in the society, in the world. At the same time, when we lead this life, we have to be aware of the threats that can harm us, the threats that can separate us from the holy living, the way that we have been living, the good way, the meritorious way of living. There are certain things that can change us, that can change us negatively. So we have to be aware of them. So with that, let me go back to the Pali stanza which I stated, which I shared with you when I started my preaching, my talk. So the words of the Buddha, Dhammapada, has this beautiful stanza. It says, Uttanavato satimato suchikammasa nisammakarino sanya tassacha dhamma jivino appamattase asobivadati. If a person is energetic and mindful, and if his words, thoughts and deeds are pure, if he does everything with care and consideration, and if he earns his living by righteous ways, or if he makes his living according to the Dhamma, according to law, and if he is not heedful, if he is not procrastinating things that he should do today itself, if he is not lazy, the Buddha says, the fame and fortune of that mindful, of that energetic person steadily grows, steadily develops. So isn't that what we all want in this society? As a student, you have to learn well. For that, you need effort. As someone who is employed, you need effort to go higher in your position. As a follower of the teachings of the Buddha, we all need this persistent effort, or the sixth step in the teachings of the Buddha. Therefore, my dear Dhamma friends, let us determine, let us use this knowledge of Dhamma, develop the persistent effort. As Buddha says, we also, as followers of Dhamma, should generate desire. At the same time, we should endeavor. We have to uphold and exert our intent for the sake of not arising unskillful qualities, wicked qualities, evil qualities that we have not yet arisen. We have to control our senses. At the same time, there are bad things that we already have. We have to remove them. We have to give them up. We have to let them go. At the same time, there are certain good qualities which we know, maybe still we have not developed them in our mind. So Buddha says we have to develop them. That's where we can develop our humanity. That's where we can live as a nice person. At the same time, we have to safeguard ourselves. We have to maintain the good qualities. We have to culminate the good things that we have been doing. So let us determine, let us work for that. And ultimately, we will become successful in this life. At the same time, as we believe in the next existence, we will be successful in our next life, wherever we are born. At the same time, this effort and the steps explained in the 6th step of the Noble Eightfold Path can take us to the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Therefore, my dear Dhamma friends, on this wonderful, beautiful, meaningful day, let's wish that this knowledge, this Dhamma sermon, and the knowledge that I have acquired by watching this, by listening to this, help me develop my understanding and help me find peace in the mind. With that, I conclude this Dhamma sermon, Dhamma talk, and I wish may all the beings in the world be happy, well, and peaceful. And let us transfer merits that we have accumulated by preaching Dhamma, by listening to the Dhamma, to the deities who protect everyone in the world. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu loka sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu dhamma desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu tvang sadati. May the Triple Gem bless all of you. Thank you very much.